Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will separate you from 99% of the people walking this earth like zombies, reacting to every little stimulus, every petty offense, every emotional trigger that gets thrown their way. You want to know the real secret to power? It's not what they taught you. It's not positive thinking. It's not affirmations in the mirror. It's not pretending everything is sunshine and rainbows while the world burns around you. The real secret is this. The moment you stop reacting, you become untouchable. And I don't mean untouchable in some mystical, spiritual sense. I mean untouchable in the most practical, ruthless, effective way possible. When you master emotional detachment, you become a force that others cannot manipulate, cannot control, cannot predict. You become dangerous. You become dominant. But here's the dark truth they don't want you to know. Most people will spend their entire lives as puppets, with invisible strings attached to their emotions. And everyone around them knows exactly which strings to pull. Your boss knows which words will make you angry. Your ex knows which buttons will make you come crawling back. Your competitors know which insecurities will make you doubt yourself. Even strangers on the internet know which comments will send you into a rage-fueled typing frenzy at 3 in the morning. And every single time you react, every single time you let that emotion take control, you hand over your power. You give them exactly what they want. You dance like a marionette while they laugh at how easily they can make you move. Your brain was designed to keep you alive in a world of saber-toothed tigers and tribal warfare. It was not designed for the psychological battlefield of modern life. Every time someone disrespects you, every time someone challenges your ego, every time someone threatens your status, your amygdala fires up like you're being chased by a predator. Your heart rate spikes. Cortisol floods your system. Blood rushes away from your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, and redirects to your muscles for fight or flight. In that moment, you're not thinking. You're not strategizing. You're not dominant. You're a slave to a 200,000-year-old alarm system that thinks a mean comment is a life or death situation. And while you're in that reactive state, making impulsive decisions, saying things you can't take back, burning bridges you'll later wish you crossed, someone else who has mastered their emotions is watching, waiting, and winning. They see you lose control, and they file that information away. They've just learned your weakness. They've just discovered how to defeat you. And they will use it again and again until you're completely under their control. This is the game, and most people don't even know they're playing it. Right now, I can hear what you're thinking. But some things deserve a reaction. Some disrespect cannot go unanswered. Some situations require me to stand up for myself. And that's exactly the lie your ego tells you to keep you weak. Your ego doesn't want you to be powerful. Your ego wants you to be right. And there's a massive difference. Being right feels good for about 30 seconds. Being powerful changes your entire life. When someone insults you and you immediately fire back, you feel vindicated. You feel like you defended your honor. You feel like you won, but you didn't win. You just proved that they control you. You proved that with the right words, the right tone, the right approach, they can make you dance whenever they want. A truly powerful person doesn't need to defend their honor because their honor isn't dependent on someone else's opinion. A truly powerful person doesn't need to win every argument because they're playing a completely different game. While you're fighting battles, they're winning wars. While you're defending your ego, they're building empires. While you're reacting, they're dominating. Let me teach you something that will transform every interaction you have for the rest of your life. Silence is the most powerful response you can give. Not passive silence. Not scared silence. Not the silence of someone who's been defeated. I'm talking about the deliberate, calculated, ice-cold silence of someone who has complete control over their internal state. When someone tries to provoke you and you respond with calm, measured silence, you create a psychological earthquake in their mind. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're planning. They don't know if you're hurt, angry, amused, or completely indifferent. And that uncertainty is terrifying. Humans are pattern recognition machines. We need to predict what others will do so we can protect ourselves. When you refuse to give them the reaction they expect, when you break the pattern they're used to, you create a power vacuum that sucks all the energy out of their attack. They expected anger. They got nothing. They expected defensiveness. They got nothing. They expected you to justify yourself, to explain yourself, to lower yourself to their level, and you gave them absolutely nothing. That's when they realize they're not dealing with another puppet. They're dealing with someone who cannot be controlled. Here's what emotional detachment really means. It means becoming the observer of your own emotions rather than the participant in them. Most people are completely identified with their emotions. When they feel angry, they don't think, I'm experiencing anger. They think I'm angry. They become the anger. They merge with it. They let take the wheel and drive them straight off a cliff. But there's another way. Imagine standing on a riverbank, watching the water flow past you. Sometimes the water is calm. Sometimes it's turbulent. Sometimes it's carrying debris and trash. Sometimes it's crystal clear. But here's the key. You're not in the river. You're watching it. Your emotions are that river. They flow. They change. They rise and fall. And you can learn to watch them without jumping in. When someone disrespects you, you can observe the anger rising in your chest. You can notice your jaw clenching. You can feel the heat in your face. And instead of identifying with it, instead of becoming it, you can simply know, interesting, my body is preparing for conflict right now. That split second of observation, that tiny gap between stimulus and response, is where all your power lives. In that gap, you have a choice. In that gap, you're free. And freedom is the foundation of dominance. Now let's talk about something they definitely don't want you to understand. Emotional detachment doesn't just make you powerful in conflict. It makes you absolutely magnetic in relationships. Think about the people you've been most attracted to in your life. I guarantee there was an element of mystery, an element of unpredictability, an element of emotional self-sufficiency that drew you in like a moth to a flame. We're wired to pursue what retreats and retreat from what pursues. It's basic psychology. When you're emotionally detached, when you're not desperate for validation, when you're not constantly seeking reassurance, you become the prize instead of the pursuer. People can smell neediness from a mile away. They can detect emotional dependency, like sharks detect blood in water. And it repels them on an instinctive level because dependency signals weakness. And we're biologically programmed to be attracted to strength. But when you genuinely don't need anyone, when you're complete within yourself, when your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's approval or presence, that's when people become obsessed with you. Not because you're playing games, not because you're using manipulation tactics, but because you're operating from a place of genuine abundance. You're not reacting to their tests. You're not jumping through their hoops. You're not changing yourself to make them happy. You're just existing in your own power. And they can't help but be drawn to that energy. This works in business, in romance, in friendships, in every domain of human interaction. The person who cares less controls the dynamic, not because they're cold or heartless, but because they're complete. You might be wondering, how do I actually develop this? How do I stop being reactive when every fiber of my being want to lash out, defend myself, prove my point? It starts with brutal self-awareness. You need to become a student of your own triggers. You need to identify exactly what sets you off. Is it disrespect? Is it being ignored? Is it being challenged? Is it feeling like you're not being heard? Write them down. All of them. Because you can't master what you don't understand. And you need to understand that these triggers are just programs running in your subconscious. They were installed years ago, probably in childhood, and they've been running on autopilot ever since. Someone rejected you when you were 7, and now rejection feels like death. Someone made you feel worthless when you were 12, and now criticism feels like an existential threat. Someone betrayed you when you were 20, and now vulnerability feels like stupidity. These are just stories. They're not truth. They're not reality. They're interpretations of past events that your mind keeps replaying to protect you from experiencing that pain again. But protection often looks like prison. To break free, you need to expose yourself to these triggers in controlled environments. You need to practice feeling the discomfort without reacting. Start small. When someone cuts you off in traffic, notice the anger. Don't suppress it. Don't judge it. Just observe it. Feel it fully. And then let it pass without honking your horn, without cursing. without letting it ruin your next 10 minutes. When someone makes a condescending comment, notice the urge to defend yourself. Feel that urge completely, and then choose to respond with calm indifference instead of reactive defensiveness. Every time you do this, every time you create that gap between stimulus and response, you're building a new neural pathway. You're training your brain that you're safe even when your ego is threatened. You're becoming anti-fragile. Now here's where most people misunderstand emotional detachment completely. It doesn't mean becoming a robot. It doesn't mean never feeling anything. It doesn't mean suppressing your humanity. It means choosing when to feel and how to express those feelings. Detachment gives you options. When you're not at the mercy of your emotions, you can deploy them strategically. You can choose to show anger when it serves your purpose, not when someone else triggers it out of you. You can choose to show vulnerability when it builds connection, not because you're desperate for validation. You can choose to show enthusiasm when it advances your goals, not because you're seeking approval. The difference between a master and a slave is choice. The slave reacts automatically. The master responds deliberately. And that deliberation, that strategic deployment of emotion, is what makes you formidable. Your competitors can't predict you. Your enemies can't manipulate you. Your allies trust you because you're stable, reliable, unshakable. You're not the person who explodes in meetings. You're not the person who sends angry texts at midnight. You're not the person who makes decisions based on temporary feelings. You're the person who waits, who observes, who processes, who acts when the time is right, not when your emotions demand it. Let me tell you something nobody else will. This path is lonely. When you stop reacting the way normal people react. When you stop participating in the emotional drama that most people mistake for connection. You'll find yourself on the outside. People will call you cold. They'll say you're calculating. They'll accuse you of not caring. They'll mistake your strength for indifference and your boundaries for arrogance. Let them, because here's what they don't understand. You're not on their level anymore. You're not playing their game. And people always resent those who refuse to participate in shared dysfunction. The chaos they live in feels like home to them. When you refuse to join them in that chaos, when you remain calm while they spiral, it forces them to confront their own lack of self-control. And most people hate that mirror. They'd rather pull you down than rise up themselves. So yes, you lose some people. You lose the drama addicts. You lose the energy vampires. You lose the manipulators who relied on your emotional reactivity to control you. Good riddance. What you'll gain is something far more valuable. Respect. Real respect. Not the fake respect people give you when you're just another puppet dancing to their tune. You'll gain space. Mental space. Emotional space. The space to build something real instead of constantly putting out fires. You'll gain power. The kind of power that doesn't need to announce itself. The kind of power that speaks through your presence, through your calm and storm, through your refusal to break when others expect you to shatter. I want you to think about your life right now. Think about all the times you reacted when you should have responded. Think about all the arguments you won that cost you relationships. Think about all the times you've defended yourself when silence would have been far more powerful. How much energy have you wasted? How much time? How many opportunities have you destroyed because you couldn't control your emotional impulses? Now imagine a different version of you. A version that stands unmoved in the face of disrespect. A version that watches chaos unfold around them with the calm detachment of someone who knows that chaos cannot touch them unless they allow it. Imagine walking into a room and having people sense immediately that you're different, that you're not like them, that you operate on a different frequency. They'll test you. They always do. Someone will say something designed to get a reaction. They'll poke at your insecurities. They'll challenge your authority. They'll try to pull you into their drama. And you'll just look at them with those calm eyes. You'll smile slightly. You'll say nothing. Or you'll say exactly what needs to be said with no excess emotion attached to it. And they'll know. In that moment, they'll know that they're dealing with someone who cannot be manipulated. That's power. That's real, tangible, undeniable power. But let me be clear about something. This isn't about suppressing who you are. This isn't about becoming some emotionless machine. Your emotions are valuable. They contain information. They tell you what you care about, what threatens you, what excites you. The goal is not to eliminate emotions. The goal is to stop being controlled by them. Think of yourself as the CEO of your own consciousness. Your emotions are employees bringing you information. Anger comes in and says, there's a boundary violation here. Fear comes in and says, there's a potential threat we need to assess. Sadness comes in and says, we've lost something valuable. A good CEO listens to all these employees, takes their information seriously, and then makes the final decision based on strategy, not panic. A bad CEO lets the employees run the company, lets fear make all the decisions, lets anger burn a whole building down, lets sadness convince everyone that nothing matters anyway. Which CEO are you? Every moment of every day, you're making this choice. React or respond. Be controlled or be in control. Give away your power or keep it. And here's what's insidious about it. The world is designed to make you reactive. Social media platforms profit from your emotional reactions. News media gets rich off your outrage. Toxic people maintain their relevance by keeping you emotionally engaged. They need you to react. Your reaction is the product they're selling. Your attention is the currency they're trading. And every time you give them that reaction, you're paying a price you can't afford. You're paying with your peace of mind. You're paying with your mental clarity. You're paying with your ability to focus on what actually matters in your life. Stop paying. Keep your attention. Keep your energy. Keep your emotional stability. Because when you have those things, you have everything you need to build the life you actually want instead of the life other people's reactions have created for you. I've seen people completely transform their existence by mastering this one principle. I've seen careers skyrocket because someone finally learned to stay calm under pressure. I've seen relationships heal because someone stopped reacting to every perceived slight. I've seen businesses flourish because the leader learned to make decisions from clarity instead of emotion. And I've seen the opposite too. I've seen brilliant people destroy everything they built with one emotional outburst. I've seen relationships implode because someone couldn't control their jealousy, their anger, their need to be right. I've seen careers end because someone couldn't handle criticism without becoming defensive. The difference between success and failure often comes down to this. Can you control yourself when it matters most? Not when everything is going well. Anyone can be calm when life is easy. The real test comes when you're under attack, when you're stressed, when everything's falling apart and someone is actively trying to make it worse. That's when you discover who you really are. That's when you find out if you're a reactor or a responder. That's when you learn if you're dominant or dominated. And here's the beautiful thing. It gets easier. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. The gap between stimulus and response gets wider. The observer part of you gets stronger. The reactive part of you gets quieter. Eventually, you reach a state where almost nothing can shake you. People throw their worst at you and you just absorb it, process it, and respond with exactly the level of energy the situation deserves. No more, no less. You become like water. Bruce Lee said it best. Be like water, my friend. Water doesn't fight the rock. It flows around it. It doesn't get angry at obstacles. It finds another path. It doesn't waste energy on resistance. It adapts. That's the ultimate form of emotional detachment. Complete adaptability without losing your essential nature. But make no mistake, this is a practice. This is not something you learn once and master forever. Every day brings new tests. Every interaction is an opportunity to either react or respond. Some days you'll fail. You'll get triggered. You'll say something you regret. You'll react when you meant to respond. That's fine. That's part of the process. The difference is that now you'll notice it. You'll catch yourself. And instead of spiraling into guilt or self-judgment, you'll simply note what happened and commit to doing better next time. This is how you build mastery. Not through perfection, but through consistent practice and honest self-assessment. I need you to understand something critical. The people who master emotional detachment don't do it because they're naturally gifted or because they don't feel emotions as intensely as everyone else. They do it because they've made a conscious decision that their goals are more important than their reactions. They've decided that building their empire is more important than winning arguments. They've decided that maintaining their peace is more important than being right. They've decided that long-term power is more important than short-term satisfaction. That's a choice. And it's a choice you can make right now. You can decide that from this moment forward, you're going to be different. You're going to be the person who doesn't take the bait. You're going to be the person who stays calm when everyone else is losing their minds. You're going to be the person who responds instead of reacts. But you have to commit. You have to treat this like the serious practice it is. Because the moment you slip back into old patterns, the moment you let someone else's words dictate your emotional state, you've given away your power again. And every time you give away your power, it gets harder to take it back. So here's what I want you to do. Starting right now, I want you to become obsessively aware of your triggers. Every time something bothers you, I want you to pause and ask yourself, why does this bother me? What belief is being challenged? What fear is being activated? What wound is being touched? Get curious about your reactions instead of being controlled by them. Then, I want you to practice the pause. Just 3 seconds. That's all it takes. 3 seconds between the trigger and your response. In those 3 seconds, take a breath. Feel the emotion, acknowledge it, and then choose your response. 3 seconds can change everything. Finally, I want you to start viewing every interaction as practice. The rude cashier, the aggressive driver, the condescending coworker, the manipulative family member. They're all giving you opportunities to practice your detachment. They're all helping you build this muscle. Thank them silently. They're making you stronger every time you choose not to react. Standing here in front of you, I need you to understand one last thing. The world is full of people trying to give away their power, and they're desperately looking for someone to give it to. Every time you react emotionally, you're accepting that burden. You're saying, yes, your words have power over me. Yes, your actions can control me. Yes, I'm willing to let you dictate my internal state. Every time you maintain your composure, you're refusing that burden. You're saying you have no power here. Your attempts to manipulate me are ineffective. I alone control my response. This isn't about being heartless. This isn't about not caring. This is about caring so much about your mission, your purpose, your goals that you refuse to let temporary emotions derail you from what truly matters. The greats throughout history, the ones who actually changed the world, they all had this quality. They could be insulted, attacked, betrayed, and they kept moving forward. Not because they didn't feel the pain, but because they didn't let the pain make their decisions. Marcus Aurelius led an empire while people plotted against him daily. He didn't react to every conspiracy. He governed with calm rationality. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison and emerged without bitterness, without the need for revenge. He transcended his emotions to liberate a nation. These weren't superhuman beings. They were people who understood that reaction is weakness and response is strength. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, commit to observing your reactions before acting on them. Notice when someone triggers you. Feel the emotion, and then choose your response rather than defaulting to your programming. Watch what happens. Watch how people's perception of you shifts. Watch how opportunities start appearing. Watch how you start moving through life like water, flowing around obstacles instead of crashing against them. Watch yourself transform from someone who gets played to someone who plays the game at a level most people don't even know exists. Because when you stop reacting, when you master that space between stimulus and response, when you become emotionally sovereign, you don't just survive in this world, you dominate it. The question is, are you ready to pay a price? Are you ready to give up the comfortable addiction to emotional drama? Are you ready to stand alone while you build something real? Or are you going to keep being a puppet, dancing every time someone pulls your strings? The choice as always is yours, but choose wisely, because time is running out, and the world doesn't wait for people who can't control themselves. It bows to those who can.